All right, welcome to week 6 for XCL Obi-Wan League. We're here on Friday for the kickoff right at 5 p.m. Eastern Time here, so we're launching the week off with a death match. We got Sawyer here, we're going to be looking at from his point of view, and Raphael's joining me on commentary here, and he's looking at Cody-Rayce's hand. So what's he got going on over there?
Hey there, boys and girls. Seems we have ourselves a 3 lands, Crawling Chorus, Complete Devotion, a Flinting Raptor, and a Slaughter Priest. Seems Cody is welcoming.
So he's on the
Hello, welcome to my death.
he's on the toxic plan here, and Sawyer. We saw his deck last week in the feature match, or not last. It was actually Monday, but he has a white blue artifacts deck here. So, or I mean, he has some creatures that have toxic, like Duelist of Deep Faith and the Crawling Chorus in his hand. But he's leaning into the white blue artifact synergies to sort of get him ahead here. So he's got the Jawbone Duelist, Crawling Chorus, Basilica Shepherd, Charge of the Mites, and Tamio's Immobilizer for some interaction, some tapping down of creatures. So his start is looking like a toxic deck, but he does more than just that.
So you say his hand's pretty strong on the Toxic train right now? Less artifacty?
Yeah, well, he has Basilica Shepherd, which makes toxic artifacts, and Charge of the Mites makes toxic artifacts. So it's the best of both worlds here, really.
So I think Cody has an interesting choice right here. He's thinking of, because his lands are tap lands. So I guess he's thinking of either swinging. I don't think it's ideal to use the combat trick here. So I think he's in between the Slaughter Stinger or just playing the Armored Scrap Gorger here. Figuring if he's going to play a bit more open-minded towards the future turns or open this turn up to start getting that toxic train rolling.
Yeah, Slaughter Singer basically gives him an attack here where he would not have a block. But he's going to go for the Armored Scrap Gorger, which can stand in front of one of Sawyer's creatures here, since he will be attacking with both.
He does have a Flinting Raptor and then a Attendant in hand for his next turn, so we'll see what he has to do. What's Soy Boy looking like he's going to do over there?
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to go Crawling Chorus, and then he may choose to just use this Charge of the Mites here to get rid of the Scrap Gorger, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Or looking like he's going to do. Yes, Charge of the Mites, 3 damage. He gets in an attack here. He gets his opponent up to 4 poison if they don't block. Which
I think it's a great play. Opens up a great attack here. Instantly putting Cody to 3 toxic.
Yeah, a chump block by Cody-Rayce here actually doesn't change the next turn, because if you're just going to play Flensing Raptor, like the token gets the same buff here. So maybe he's strongly motivated to not get corrupted this turn if he can avoid it.
What else does Sawyer have in hand?
Yeah, so he has the Basilica Shepherd and the Tamio's Immobilizer that were in his starting hand. So
okay,
he's got a if he doesn't have a land next turn, he has an Immobilizer or whatever he draws, and if he does have a land, he has a nice 5-drop here to curve out with.
Seems Cody's drawn the Rustvine Cultivator.
Yeah.
Seems a little unhappy with the hand.
Yeah. Rustvine Cultivator turned out to be a pretty okay card, but not the card you want in this kind of board state. So
100%.
So Slaughter Singer at least comes down and is able to block.
I would think that's the game plan here. Try and double block 2 things.
Yeah, so Sawyer's drawn a second copy of Basilica Shepherd, so not the land needed to cast the first one. Yeah, so he doesn't want to offer a trade here. He says, I want to just attack with my creature that can't be defeated in combat, and then I can start locking down your creature as needed. And he's set an upkeep stop, which... actually, he doesn't have to set an upkeep stop. If the Rustvine Cultivator had a oil counter on it, you could set an upkeep stop to prevent it from giving you mana on your main phase.
So it seems Cody's drawn that 4th land finally. Opens up his Indoctrination Attendant. I'm trying to think what he's thinking of here. If we're thinking of slap down the Attendant, play a bit more defensively. But that Immobilizer is definitely going to make his life not very fun.
Yeah, even if he does play Attendant and get it locked down, Sawyer still doesn't have like amazing attacks. So, his Duelist of Deep Faith can come in, but his other creatures are still kind of held at bay. So looks like Cody's turning a bit of an awkward start here into an okay middle turns here. His start was very awkward with the tap lands, though.
Yeah, I think he's trying to work his best way around using his mana like efficiently as possible here. He's like just organizing the hand right now, really thinking about this attendant. I'm not sure if he wants to get in with the Flinting Raptor or if he feels like he's a little too far behind, especially with the mobilizer on the other side of the field.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, when you're not exactly sure what to do the thing that like uses the most mana. So, if he can use 4 mana here, that might be what he decides to do rather than, play a Flensing Raptor or something. Yeah. So he's
Seems like we're going
settled
the attendant route.
he's settled on the, using most of his mana. He bounces his land to get a 1/1. And I imagine he could, if Sawyer decides to not to tap anything, he could attack with his Crawling Chorus pretty happily, I think.
Do you mean Cody or Sawyer attacking?
Cody can attack with it because it'll attack as a 2/2. So it's either eating the opposing Crawling Chorus or trading with a Jawbone Duelist. But he's gonna choose to stay back here. He is on 5 poison versus, effectively 4 potential poison on board here.
Yeah, I seem he's trying to play it pretty safe here. Did Sawyer get the land he needed?
No, he got a Cephalopod Sentry, which is just going to be a 2/5 now. But as soon as he gets the land for Basilica Shepherd, that thing's going to get very large, since he has 2 Shepherds in hand. So he will be able to play a 2/5 flying, but his attacks have not really improved since last turn.
Yeah, Cody has interesting attacks here. Even though his board state's not the most beautiful looking, we do have a Titanic Growth and a Complete Devotion in hand. So he can try and brute force his way in there, if at all he decides to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Complete Devotion just, really good replaces itself here. Titanic Growth, basically wins combat every time. So, yeah. We did get good tricks in this set, which is, why it leans so aggressive.
The tricks in the set really impressed me. I'll say that. You're used to getting like 2 for 1 by playing tricks, but this is like one of those sets where it's like, okay.
Yeah, you get Titanic Growth, which basically you always win combat. You got Complete Devotion and Blazing Crescendo, which replace themselves. You got Offer Immortality, which again, you basically always win combat with that as well. Their creature always dies, yours always lives. So, yeah, the ones that are not 2 for 1s are just very decisive combat winners. So Cody, I guess, is thinking about throwing the Crawling Chorus under here, but yeah, he's creeping up there on the poison counters.
It's an interesting question whenever you think about it. Going from 12 to 10, most people would just take the 2. Yep. But when you add Toxic on it, do you see much of a difference going from 5 to 6?
Yeah, well, I think Cody sees that, maybe Cody has seen this deck in action before, or he just, he's played enough of the format to know that White Blue isn't really a toxic deck. So it's maybe half. So if half of Sawyer's cards are white, maybe 60 or 50% of those white cards are leading into the toxic. So, I don't know if he's afraid of dying to toxic just because blue-white is just not going to have that many toxic things. But it just turned out with the draw that Sawyer had, he's threatening lethal on both fronts here, potentially.
I'd agree with that. I'm going to assume Cody's going to attempt to get rid of the Cephalopod with Titanic Growth here. That's what it seems the play is. If Sawyer throws something else in front, might go the Complete Devotion route.
Yeah, I don't know if Sawyer wants to enter his Cephalopod into combat here, especially because if he draws a land, it's going to be a 4/5.
Yeah.
And then if he draws another land, the game just ends the next turn. So, because you can put him down to 6, and then the next turn I'll have another Basilica Shepherd. So it'll grow to 4 and then 6. So, we see his life total is 10. So Sawyer is not going to be declaring that as a blocker, I don't think, in basically any circumstance. Yeah, he's identified that this Jawbone Duelist potentially is just, it sort of did its thing. It's not getting through on this board anymore. He doesn't have any way to enhance its power.
I mean, if he has a Flinting Raptor in hand, it can definitely boost up the toxic count.
Yeah. So Sawyer was thinking about blocking with Jawbone, now thinking about blocking with Chorus. I assume he wants to stay out of that corrupted range. And actually, blocking with the Crawling Chorus actually makes his Cephalopod bigger. So.
Yeah, what a way to find value, right? 3 blocks of anything.
I mean, Crawling Chorus was already good, but here we're seeing I think he'd rather have a 1/1 artifact that pumps his cephalopod than a crawling chorus right now.
Oh, 100%.
So
I'm trying to think against green white. Are you really scared per se of going to 3 poison?
yeah, I mean the payoffs are not as strong as they are in black, but you still have incisor gliders and other things, right?
That's fair.
So no land, but he's drawn a Chrome Prowler, which combined with Tamio's Immobilizer can basically take like 3 creatures out of blocking next turn. Up to.
Yeah, Sora might be able to buy some time.
Yeah,
I'm curious
so
if he's going to tap down the Raptor on Cody's turn.
yeah. Again, Cody with sort of the sad flensing raptor post combat, really like pre combat, it just whatever you target is just getting tapped down. So he might as well just leave his man up for the tricks, which he did.
Yeah, being 1 mana short, not being able to Raptor and holding up growth, I would assume made that decision.
Yeah, Sawyer's weighing here whether to main phase tap down something with the Prowler. It would add a power to the Cephalopod Sentry, which does matter.
Would put Cody on a 3-turn clock?
Well, if he draws a land, it would be 2 turn. But
Yeah.
that's been true last turn as well. So we actually saw a very similar situation in the feature match earlier this week, where Sawyer was like he had the 2 Basilica Shepherds and was on 4 lands for like quite a few turns. It was just like, well, as soon as he draws that land, he's taken over. And once he draw the land, he did take over. But it was quite a few turns in limbo here where he had to make do with different spells. But Chrome Prowler is a good draw. So
I can say I really like this idea here. It's being forward and pushing the game state. He has the Immobilizer anyway to keep the Flensing Raptor tapped down again.
yeah, I don't think he's living in fear of the Flensing Raptor here. He's at 16 life and 2 poison. This also gives him, quite nice attacks now.
So unless Cody draws any kind of removal, for the most part, if Sawyer hits a land, this game pretty much just ends next turn.
Yeah, and it might end even if he doesn't, depending on what he draws here. Because he can use his tapper to basically take 2 things out of blocking if he wants. The Immobilizer, tap something on Cody's turn, and then untap and use the last oil to get something out of the way. That's why tappers are so strong, because when you need to, you could take 2 things out of blocking for a turn, and you just
Yeah, I would say Sawyer recognizes this also.
you just always keep their best thing locked down, but then when it's time to actually get in the last hit, you have that window too. So that's why these tappers have always been so strong and limited, and why at least the creature like the creatures that are tappers, we just don't get them at a high rate or as good rate as we used to. Like, think of Sinew Dancer in this set. Like, if you have Corrupted, it's great. But if not, like, 4 mana is just, like, too much. Just way too much.
Oh. Seems we might use the Complete Devotion here.
All right, so Cody's gonna draw himself a card here with the combat trick here after making sure everything gets blocked. Everything that basically could get blocked. Yeah, so the Cephalopod and the Might get in, and the Jawbone trades with the Rustvine, and the Crawling Course does get to eat the Duelist, and he gets a card. So what are his options here?
I was trying to think in my head if there was any way for Cody to win the game on his very next turn, and I think if he just blocked 1 creature with the Crawling Course and attacked all with Titanic Hydra and Complete Devotion in the end, I think that would have been 16 exactly. Because Sawyer taps down the 3/4, right?
Yeah, if he had 6 extra power in his hand. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, Slaughter Priest giving 1, 2, 3 power on board to the Raptor, the Might, and the other Might.
So what's he drawn here from his 2 draws from Complete Devotion and now for turn?
It seems we have a Contagious Vorak and a Slaughter Stinger.
Okay, so another Slaughter Singer and a Contagious Vorak. So nothing to really defend himself against this big flyer here.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, so
being down to 5, land just ends the game, right?
Yes, yeah. A land ends the game because he can just take the Raptor out of commission. Though if Cody has untapped mana, he probably will not try and try and do that. But we'll see how Cody plays out his turn here.
I think he's currently trying to think if there's any way to either end the game or prolong the game for another turn or two. Because 2 slaughter stings is pretty strong.
Yeah, well, he'd have to block the cephalopod, and then have
Sadly.
like a steady stream of poison counters coming Sawyer's way here. I assume. Actually, I'm not going to assume like Sawyer. He wants his cephalopod sentry to be lethal, so we'll see if he blocks with the Chrome Prowler. But a land makes it. A land will bring the cephalopod sentry back up to 5 anyway. Well, that's a lot of triggers. All right, well, in comes everything. So Chrome Prowler is going to get in the way of the Slaughter Singer here. He's counting. He's thinking, like, am I dead to a combat trick? And the answer is yes. So 7, 10, 13. So he's dead to Titanic Growth, but not any white spell.
I can say I really like this attack by Cody. It's saying I'm not sure if I can live another turn, so I'm going to give it everything I have right here.
Yeah, attack with everything that can attack.
What do they say? Math is for blockers, right?
Hey, we're inclusive here. Math is for everyone.
Yeah. So do we think he's going to take the block?
I don't see why he wouldn't block here.
I can't see why either.
Okay. Well, he has not blocked. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Wow, the gambit pays off.
Yeah, I think blocking there was the right call, just because his cephalopod wasn't lethal anyway, because it was at 4 presently. So a land brings it back up to 5 anyway, even if like the cephalopod dies and it becomes a 3. If the Chrome Prowler dies, it becomes a 3/5. Land brings it back up to 5/5. So I think blocking with the Chrome Prowler there should be the way to go. Like the white-green deck, a lot of the way that white-green pushes damage is with their combat tricks here. So, yeah, he said 13 damage. He said, I think he basically, Sawyer's somebody who knows all the tricks in the set. So he said basically it has to be Titanic Growth. It can't be anything else. No other one card in those colors deals that much damage. I guess did he have enough? No, he didn't have enough mana for Tyvar Stand, so that wouldn't have done it. He didn't have enough mana for a Tyvar Stand for X equals 3. So he said, if he has a Titanic Growth, I'm dead. Otherwise, I'm just going to win on the next turn. And we see Cody take the game. So is he doing any sideboarding here?
It seems we're moving some cards around, figuring out what we want to play. We're thinking of these Carnivorous Canopies.
Yeah, that's a good one against this deck.
I guess he's mulling around with his 1-drops, seeing if Restfine Cultivator is worth playing. Definitely helped out that last game, but we'll see if he wants to keep it in. Took it out. Matt, what's Sawyer up to over there? Any sideboarding at all?
He's considering his options here. Hasn't made any big decisions yet. I think he took out an Incisor Glider. I think he brought in Glistener Seer, if I'm seeing it right. Yeah, the 0/3.
I think Glistener Seer is a wonderful card, especially with like how low to the ground Cody's deck is.
All right, he's bringing out one of his Basilica Shepherds. Also, he's playing around here. He's at 61 cards now, so he sort of took something out, took something in, going down to 1 Glistener Seer instead of 2. He's just figure it out here. I know Sawyer's definitely very big on sideboarding, like depending on player draw, he'll side into a different deck. Hopefully with the right lands. But
it's really tricky to deal with, right?
Yeah, no, he's always thinking about how he can make his deck better every game. Depending on what he saw, depending on what he knows his opponent has. Like I know one of my weaknesses is sideboarding. I feel like, my deck works. I have like a naturalize effect, a plummet effect. I have like, I have these narrow cards that sometimes I bring in, but otherwise I almost never am able to think like, oh, this specific card is really bad and maybe I should bring in this instead. So,
I share your pain. I don't think I've sideboarded a single time this league.
If we're wondering how do players like Sawyer get in the top 8 so often, well, this is a big part of it. Let me tell you, this is a big part
smart.
of it.
So I think so far Cody's taken a mulligan.
Okay,
We've kept
yeah,
3
I see that.
lands and a bit of action.
Yeah, so Sawyer's got a pretty reasonable hand here. What's Cody holding there along?
Outside of the sack he just played, really it's just lands, a Slaughter Stinger, and a Ruthless Predation,
I
drawing
mean,
into another tap land.
those are things to play, and I mean, um, Sawyer's kind of got the perfect answer to the incubation sack here with Annex Sentry that's going to come down next turn, since Annex Sentry can nab any creature or artifact of 3 mana or less. So,
It's a finicky thing on it. I almost forgot it can grab artifacts.
yep, it
Seems like
doesn't
he's definitely
often
going to
hit
do
an
it.
artifact, but he's actually just going to go for the Slaughter Singer here.
I really like this play. Now it's funny because Cody's drawn another incubation sack, but for at least 2 more turns, he has nothing to do.
Yeah, so he said, look, incubation sack is slow. I want to get on board before that. He has a Cephalopod Sentry, a Chrome Prowler, and 2 more lands in hand. So he says, I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to get in for damage. He's going to play his Cephalopod here. Next turn, it'll be able to attack for 3 with the Chrome Prowler in hand. So he says, I'm not going to worry about the incubation sack. If he wants to make 3/3s, I'm going to go over the top with my flyer here. He can tap it down with Chrome Prowler next turn and attack for 5 if
Well,
all Cody
Cody
does is make a
did
3/3.
just draw the canopy, so he can get rid of the sentry. I think if he wants to make a 3/3 or shoot the sentry down now.
Well, which century? We got 2 of them here.
The cephalopod
Yeah,
sentry.
we got 2 centuries here, but one of them is. I mean, they're both excellent, but one of them is a bit more threatening right now.
Sentry.deck, huh? Seems we're going with the 3/3 though.
Yeah, he's made the 3/3. It holds off the ground creatures. So Sawyer's drawn an Indoctrination Attendant, so he's figuring out if he wants to cast that or if he wants to Chrome Prowler and attack for 5. He will get his opponent to 6 Toxic, which again is, it's not nothing, that's for sure.
So I think what Cody's thinking of here with making the 3/3 is Ruthless Predationing the Annex Sentry, and then more than likely shooting down the flyer.
Yeah, on 5 mana, that's probably a good turn. Just get 2 problematic things off the board, and then that paves the way for your incubation sacks to take over, which is what his plan is. Because he doesn't have much else going on, so he's all in on these incubation sacks here.
It's funny because it requires Cody to draw an untapped land because currently he has a tapped land in hand.
Oh no, okay, all right. Well, he still has one or the other next turn if he doesn't.
Correct.
Draw the untap, so he's going to be interacting at the very least. Yes, once again, Sawyer weighing his decision here. It's whether to play Indoctrination Attendant or Chrome Prowler. Both of them add an artifact to the board, so he bounces his Chorus. It's not a relevant card. He doesn't want to put himself down on lands, so he can just replay it. Yeah, so Cody's probably going to have to kill this Cephalopod Sentry here, being at 13 life and it threatening to get even bigger.
He's also got a pretty weird draw here in the Armored Scrap Gorger.
That's very awkward.
So I think what he might want to do is Predation and drop the Scrap Gorger, which wouldn't be the worst. Allows him to use all his mana this turn efficiently. But I think he was definitely hoping that was going to be a untapped land.
Yeah, so he could Predation to kill the Indoctrination Attendant, and then play the Scrap Gorger. So the Cephalopod Sentry is still going to have free reign here for the moment, but we know it will eventually die to the canopy. Likely
He seems going to shoot up
next turn.
the Predation. Are we firing at the 3/4?
I think so.
Cody seems to agree with you.
Well, if he doesn't, the 3/4 gets to attack freely. So
Yep.
like the 1/4, he could kill the 1/4, but I get his 2/2 back. But the 3/3 can still just attack into them.
So I guess he's slow playing the Scrap Gorger. Figure if maybe he wants to swing here.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, so we're basically seeing Sawyer needs to win with what he has now, because Cody's got the game like locked up if he survives to like the next phase of it, because he has the incubation sacks. Like they will eventually win the game. So Sawyer needs to kind of get him dead now, and I think he knows that. Like he sees the incubation sack there on board. He says like, if my Cephalopod Sentry goes away, which it is going to, we know. He basically doesn't have much to fall back on here, right? Like his board is not really great against an army of 3/3s. Yeah, so he's just going to get in here. Yeah, so he's getting up to 7. Plays another creature here. His draw for the turn was Bladed Ambassador. So, and him picking up the Crawling Course instead of the land was very big because now he has the land for the Bladed Ambassador activation.
Yeah, really having the ambassador here. So since you're going to fire off the canopy,
Yeah, he
Cody
has
has
to.
a
He has to.
turn.
He has no choice here, but Sawyer still has pretty reasonable attacks. Like honestly,
I would believe Sawyer swings all here, right? Did he just draw something?
The
Really
game's
good?
actually done. He's drawn the Wanderer, so the Wanderer can just +1 exile the 3/3 token off the board, permanently basically. The the +1 says exile it and it returns on its owner's end step, but we know with tokens they don't go away, and so he'll get in here.
The good old hello at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just draw your bomb rare when you're already in the driver's seat here. So he wasn't actually dead, but he was at 1 with
game state. It seems Cody's gonna switch back to his game 1 idea. Seems we're putting in the 2 Cinder slash Ravagers.
Okay, so
and
the green red card. Okay.
Correct. Hit the board for 1, which I think is pretty good on the play.
Yeah, looks okay. So
Sawyer making any changes.
Yeah, Sawyer has taken out a charge of the Mites and brought in a second copy of Glistener Seer here on the draw. Just favors the defensive card.
I'd agree with that being on the draw. Having more regency over your draws is pretty strong, especially in the blue.
Yeah. Glistener Seer, honestly, just as a whole, we haven't seen a lot of islands in our feature matches here in Phyrexia All-Will-Be-One League. So, we saw Sawyer's deck last week, and we noted it was nice to see a blue deck, doing well here.
It is a breath of fresh air to see some blue, right? Get a bit of that ocean breeze going on.
Yeah, we had one other blue deck, which was a few weeks ago Zeke was playing, but he just ran into mana issues and mulligans, and he basically didn't really get to play. So other than that, we've basically, the only islands we've seen are when somebody was splashing.
So what color pair do you think you've seen the most during the feature weeks, these past 6 weeks?
We've seen a lot. We've seen quite a lot of those white-black decks, the toxic decks. We've seen white-green quite a bit too. So the white toxic decks have been popular. We've seen some green red, but white toxic decks I think have been the ones that have shown up with the highest percentage.
I could see it. I see Cody's going to slam this keep here.
Okay.
All colors, Crawling Course to start the game, and a Merrick seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, so Sawyer's got some good cards in his hand. He is going to need lands here. His hand is dependent on drawing some lands. He's got a Jawbone Duelist and a Bladed Ambassador to go with his other planes, but all of his other cards are 4 mana and up. So he has Cephalopod Sentry, Indoctrination Attendant, and then the big Wanderer there on 6. But only the 2 lands here to start.
I can say I do like this trade from Sawyer's parts and says Mike gets a swing in first.
Yep, there you go, yeah.
The Jawbone Duelist, the backup's really nice.
Yeah, so he's got one more turn. He can play the Blade Ambassador next turn if he doesn't draw land, but after that, it's going to start getting into panic mode potentially. His draw from last turn, completely just not the card you want to see. Eye of Malkador, just not the card you want on the draw here, especially when you need to hit your lands to function.
Definitely don't want to see that. It seems
so Cody's representing a trick of some kind here.
We have the Titanic Growth in hand. I don't believe he wants to use it. I think he just wants to get the 1 in for free without having to use a card. But Sawyer's going to call it.
Well, so Sawyer figures Sawyer's stuck on lands presently. Yeah, so he's not drawn a land here. It's a Tabio's Immobilizer. So he says, if I can tie Cody's mana up here and have him not develop the board, that's how I don't fall behind when I don't have mana. So he's concluded. We saw Cody use the Titanic Growth, but did not play anything else. So Sawyer got to play the next threat.
Yeah, I think Cody's hand is going to help Sawyer potentially come back here with all the tap lands he has. If he had an untap land, He could play the attendant here,
Right.
but it seems we either have a Slaughter Stinger or the Basilisk as an option.
Okay, so he's got Slaughter Singer, Basilisk, and Taplands, I guess.
Tap lane and attendant in hand.
Okay.
Indoctrination.
All right. So Sawyer's got a redraw here. He's got a Surgical Spell Bomb, so he can tap 2 mana and see another card. But it's getting to the point where he's about to fall far behind here.
It's definitely not something you want to do, huh? Use a spell bomb to draw into a land.
Well, he doesn't have a choice. Well, that's a good thing about the Skull Bomb is when you are in a situation like this, it has that mode, right? Like if this was just a normal bounce spell, like we're playing, right now, we're playing Shadows over Innistrad. We have Drag Under, 2 and a blue sorcery. Bounce a creature to hand, draw a card. Like if this was that, like, it would be useless. But since it has that other mode, it's useful. So interesting that he didn't go for the land on his turn and decided to leave up the activation for the Bladed Ambassador. I don't know. I'd be so afraid to like just keep not hitting land drops that I personally would have just felt like I had to do it on my turn.
Yeah, I feel the same way here. I'm going to assume he wants to go for the tempo play here.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you, though. I would have wanted to dig for land, but it seems Cody's going to try and push some more damage through here.
Like, you just have to assume Cody's going to have plays that affect the board for the next couple turns.
Yeah.
And therefore, you need to find your land now. So we'll find out next turn if it was a good decision or not. But he's drawn an Incisor Glider here for turn. So I guess we'll find out right now because he's going to sack it and see now if there's a land. And it's a Terramorphic.
I mean,
so it actually ends up the same because, well, it basically, if he did it last turn, he would have cast the Incisor Glider this turn and then used the Terramorphic because he would have drawn the Terramorphic for turn. So he would have been down some damage, but up an Incisor Glider basically.
So I'm curious what we want to bounce back here. It seems Cody wants to play the Indoctrination Attendant. I'm assuming we're bouncing a land back.
Yeah, it can't be a creature here. He wants both of his creatures here. Yeah, just bounce the land.
Yeah, I've always been in love with the old swing with the Flinting Raptor and then bounce it with the Attendant in situations like this, just to get safe damage through the air.
Yeah, if you have the time. All right, so it looks like he got that combat trick off the top. So
yeah,
pretty strong draw here. Because I was about to say he's trading off his Slaughter Singer for a Bladed Ambassador, but he is definitely not doing that. He is actually getting a card out of it. So yeah, with Sawyer only able to cast an Incisor Glider or a Mandible Justiciar this turn, he's not really going to have much of an out here. He's just going to concede. Yeah, he can play one creature, but it's just, he's at 4 poison. There's so much poison in play. His Incisor Glider doesn't even block the Flensing Raptor because of the Slaughter Singer pump. So congratulations to Cody staying alive here on week 6 in the death match, and thanks to both players. And we'll be back in a little bit for the next match of the night.